So sometimes when we've shifted out of believing ourselves to need to be a certain person or vocation or have a certain calling or identity, something solid, some doctor or school bus driver or firefighter or police officer or teacher, you can tell I have a toddler. These are the vocations that come to mind. But um, when those identities of us being somebody fall away, there can be this dysphoria or grief or lost feeling around work. If we're in a place of needing to work to survive, needing to earn an income, which I know not everyone is, but most of us are. It seems that way. The reason that this doesn't come up as much in my therapy work in quite the same way as spiritual work. It comes in a different way. But often there's this idealization of awakening in some after awakening world where we're in harmony or we transcend the material form and things are easy and we don't need to hook into an economy because there's abundance everywhere, whatever ideals that happen. I could talk about money. Maybe I'll talk about that another time, but the reality is we awaken out of a separate self and into this interdependent world where we depend on each other and we depend on an income in this consumerist state of the world that we live in today. And so we're called back into the practical world. So how do I show up again when I don't have the fallacy of then taking myself to be that work? That's not me anymore. That's not what defines me. And maybe there's some stickiness around the mind and having a purposeful function and a sense of confusion around striving and making things happen. It's a lot of pressure. We start to see that there are a lot of beliefs underlying not just who we take ourselves to be in an occupational sense, but in a moral sense, in a value sense of like a worker who has purpose. I have some purpose and meaning to what I offer this world. That's kind of a big one, even psychologically in the scientific community I studied. There's constructs and factors of well-being that have purpose and meaning as fundamental to happiness and thriving. But what is that really? When we deconstruct expectations around it, having purpose, having a calling, often aligns with presence, aliveness. And maybe it aligns repeatedly in a skill and a pattern of service that doesn't define us, but unfolds with us. Maybe there are moments of great skill and facility. Maybe it's more ordinary at other times or in other people, places, or environments. Janitorial work, meditation of that. I think I've talked about it before, where often it seems like when you awaken, it's some setup for being a teacher, for that being your calling, for being a spiritual healer or teacher, or only being able to share this language or tolerate this language with other people. And then that becomes kind of an avoidance of the full circle of humanity and some over identification with this persona of the awake one who's different or special or whatever. So purpose and meaning are freed from identity or beliefs. They can just be qualities that are here moment to moment. And whatever's calling, whatever's alive, not necessarily in a flaky or what's the word I'm looking for? Ungrounded way. There's a calling in the same way that being a parent is a calling. That every day the child is growing, but I'm not going to abandon ship and parent a different child tomorrow. Like, there's a grounding. But the calling changes a little bit every day. There's no assumption that this is anything static or that there might be a big transition on the familial, the whole family level that makes things very different environment. That your calling might change. And there can be a freedom and a trust in that. It actually never was solid. There was never the doctor here. There was never the school bus driver here. There's just life. Listening and responding or avoiding and trying to run. It seems like there's a lot of vocational changes in this US country right now. A lot of potential growing pains in identity because give yourself grace in that there can be so much grief around letting go of that identity. That was who I took myself to be. Who am I now when I can't cling to a sense of purpose and there's no solid purpose to my life? There's no solid meaning to any of this. I was really struck the other day by a piece of music of a band that I love that I didn't realize released something new. And just what struck me the most was the power of it. How my own power resonated with it. Like, every time I hear this particular song, like that kind of primitive kundalini goosebump, like energetic power that lights up when it recognizes itself. I think you're especially in a feminine form, in this feminine musician who's so powerful. Because it sees itself. It's not, doesn't have to hide anymore. It's reconnecting with itself. That there was some reckoning with, like, why is this so powerful? Like, why do I feel so called to this? I'm not a banjo player. I can sing, but I'm not a musician. This isn't my calling in this moment. Like, why is this so powerful? How is this so powerful in this moment? And it's kind of a realization of that, like, child, like, awe of, I want to be like them. I want to be like her when I grow up. Not, I want to achieve that. I want to conquer that. I want to own that. But I want to be. I want to be. Life wants to be as it is. Life wants to be its own power. I don't want you to praise me or give me your power or defer to me. I want your power to be yours. Like, power wants empowerment. I want to be. I want to be free. In all ways. I want to belong in this world. I want to just be as I am, make my way. I don't want to abandon it. I don't want to conquer it. So, if there's work aversion arising or grief around identity of a work changing, what a rich landscape. Whatever is being harvested, whether it's grief or shame or fear or doubt or confusion or disassociation, like whatever can be turned towards in that and listened to, like, this is asking for something, this experience right now, this feeling right now, this energy, this humanity right now is instructive. Then life is allowed to work through us.